of the Republic of the Philippines from 1992 to 1998, passed away on July 31, 2022 at the age of 94. Whereas President Ramos was born on March 18, 1928 in Lingayen, Pangasinan, to spouses Narciso.
It paved the way for the structure that was needed. Just and lasting peace for a political structure, which was the Bangsamoro at the time, the autonomous region of Muslim Mindanao. How can we forget that? As a matter of fact, the gains now from the peace efforts began with this man. But one thing I loved about him the most was his leadership style, which I emulate. Idol namin ni AC, FBR, tsaka si Jody B. Jody B na siya, idol namin yan. What is it? The consultative leadership. The consensus builder. Siya yun. And when he got an election win that was so small, considering all the other candidates combined, he only had a lead of about 400,000 votes from his closest rival. What is the first thing he did? He was never vindictive. He never decided, oh, you go to jail, I'll put you in the stockade. No. First thing he did, I remember, because I was part of the NPC youth. We were with the Danding Kuangko group at that time with my father. That's history. I was with the NPC youth. The first thing he did was to create a coalition, what they call the Rainbow Coalition. He met with all the major leaders of all the major political parties. I remember because I was the chief of staff of my dad. So I attended some of these meetings. And he said, guys, I know I don't have a majority win, but help me. Help me. Come together and let's build this country together. Ang galing. Yan ang consensus builder. Yan ang consultative leader. And when he couldn't solve a problem on his own, he will create a committee. He will get the best and brightest minds. Help me solve this together. That's a good leader. That is a great leader. And that's my peg as a leader, even in the Senate. And my colleagues know that I'm a consultative leader. I learned that all from our beloved President Fidel V. Ramos. And in closing, I just want to say, I had an opportunity to meet with him when I was chief of staff of my dad, but the first time that I had a truly one-on-one session with him, and I showed that picture in the Senate when I was with him, that was August 8, 1998, almost 24 years ago. I went to see him after the elections. He just retired as president, and we had that long 2-hour meeting in your house in Alabang. We talked about everything under the sun, from his golf to how to be a good leader. And he was writing me notes. He actually sent me, I think it was a book of his or some of his memoirs with red ball pen notes written all over it. I still have that. And as a young congressman. And he was genuinely interested to see that we would all make it through and be make the country better for the future. And he made that big impact to me. Imagine, who am I? I was a young congressman. I was 28 years old. But he gave me the time, 2 hours, spoke to me, made such a big impact. And I've learned a lot from him. And to this day, we in the Red Cross, I'm vice chairman of the Philippine Red Cross, totally, absolutely love him. Because he would always support the Red Cross. I'm sure Tito Dick had already come. Has Chairman Gordon come already? But I know he wants to come and visit. But if he was in the Senate, he'd probably want to be one of the first to give a privileged speech about the man that helped Red Cross so much in the past. He would donate blood, Ma'am Christy, to us, I think twice a year. And every time he'd donate blood, he'd do the push-up challenge. And he'll make all our Red Cross volunteers do the push-up. Eh, lalaki naman. Yung iba doon, matataba. They can't do the push-up. Then, of course, he'll tell them, you better get into shape. If I can do these push-ups at 80, at the time he was 80 plus years old. And, we haven't cut off age for blood donation. Once you reach a certain age, I think it's 70 years old, we no longer really collect the blood, or we no longer utilize the blood. It's, I think, a global standard for Red Cross, for whatever reason. But we made an exemption for him. He insisted on donating blood to the Red Cross, not just because he wanted to, but he wanted to show the whole Filipino nation that if I can donate blood, you can donate blood. And he kept doing that, I think even maybe until the late 80s. He would visit us. And we're all excited. We have so many pictures of different occasions with him donating blood. And that's how he was. He was not just a consultative leader, not just a consensus builder, but he led by example. And that's why I think, and I believe deep in my heart, he was one of the best presidents we've had. One of the best. And I'll tell you, when I watch TV every day, when I see the news, when I see people's outpouring support of the president, even online in my page, it crosses all political boundaries. Whether you're yellow, you're red, you're blue, you're pink, you're green, everybody loved him. Everybody had the biggest respect for him. And so I salute him. If only we can even get a fraction of the respect that he's getting now, I think we'd be successful as public servants. So, Ma'am Christie, I end. This is a heart. I didn't read my speech because even the boss doesn't read his speech. You all know what he does. He looks at it, he tears it up, throw, and he'll speak from the heart. And today, what I said was from the heart. I genuinely thank you, Ma'am, for sharing your father with a nation that's truly grateful for the work that he's done. Mabuhay po. Maraming salamat po, Mr. President. Gagawin namin lahat. No? Kakayanin namin, kasi palagi mo sinisigaw, kaya ba yan? Kakayanin po namin na gawin natin lahat para maangat natin ang buhay ng bawat Pilipino. Working together, taking your example with a consultative consensus leadership. Salamat po. God bless you all. God bless you.
Good afternoon, everyone, and of course to the beloved family of the late FVR, with Christy here, his daughter. It is an honor for me to speak very shortly this afternoon on behalf of my family. As you know, we loved your father dearly. I mentioned this in the Senate floor, and I'll say it again. I wrote a book entitled To Dream the Impossible Dream. It was about my father. It is probably around 2011 or 2012. I was already a senator. And I asked your father to be the guest of honor because my dad's dream, impossible dream to serve his country, was made possible because of your father. My dad was a private lawyer, and the president would call him up to play golf in the early morning. He's a morning person. In my family, my dad's already the morning person. He wakes up around 7. But I think the golf, the tee-off is about 5:30. However early it can be, that was their tee-off. So I remember he would tell my mom, I have an early morning with the president. But well, in all humility, we know that your father, the president, admired my father's and liked his legal advice, so he made him his chief legal counsel. And that's how my father's career in public service was reignited, I would say, because he was a member of the Batasan Pambansa with your father, no? Senate President Migs. But he went back to Malacanang in public service then. And then the president included him in his senatorial slate, along with Senator Loren, the youngest at that time. I think Senator Flavier, I'm looking at Senator, youngest naman talaga. Hanggang ngayon, matagal ka pang maging oldest, to be clear. Senator Barbers, yes, Senator Flavier, no, among others. And then my father did pass away before he completed his term, and shortly after I paid a visit to him. And like always, he was very supportive of our family. He encouraged me to continue. And years after that, I continued to visit him and seek his advice. But the other thing I'd really love to share is the senators know my passion for sports. No? And as Senator Miggs had already mentioned, while we were waiting outside, they were showing clips, no, of his life. And I remember the alay lakad and takbo. And I've run with your father a number of times. I come late, no? I'm not a morning person, so I'll arrive just before the race comes. Pero siya yata mga 3 oras na siya nandun, ready na tumakbo. And until his late years, he was my icon of fitness. And I've always believed that health, mental health and physical health go together. Our ability to work well starts with having a strong body. And I was so happy that there was a public servant, a much admired person who believed in it. Kasi parang feeling ko nag-iisa ako dun in my advocacy. But when I would see him, I would be like, siya yun, tingnan nyo, kung di kayo naniniwala sa akin, I mean, look at him. And at the time, he was 70, going into his 80s. So I just admire the man so much. And like the Senate President said, we thank you for sharing him with the nation. We all know how much time being a public servant takes away from your family. So thank you. My children barely had a few years with my father because he passed away when they were under 10. One was 5 and the other one I think was 3. So ganun lang ang age. And I'm sure those of you who grew up with your grandfather, you still wish that you had more time. Well, there's a lifetime of anecdotes and documented history in your father, and that's something that you should always be proud of and carry in your heart. So on that note, thank you so much for your father, your grandfather's service, and I join the Senate in condoling with you.
At this point, may we now call on Miss Christy Ramos for a response from the family.
Former President Joseph Estrada, Senate President Miggs Zubiri, Senator Pia Cayetano, Senator Lauren Legarda, Senator Win Gatchalian, Senator Bato de la Rosa, Senator Jinggoy Estrada, Senator Rafi Tulfo, and Senator Robin Padilla. We welcome all of you here, and we are really very proud and very happy that you took time from your busy schedules to pay respects to my father, the late President Fidel V. Ramos. Indeed, it was really his mission to do what was best for the Philippines. And one of his babies, if I should call it that, was really the LEDAC, which was the Legislative Executive Development Advisory Council. And really, I think admittedly, he wasn't exactly a politician. He did want to work together with the executive branches, the legislative branch, and the judiciary, so that his vision for the Philippines 2000, making the Philippines an independent and self-reliant country, would come into fruition. And I think this is one of the reasons why he really pushed for the LEDAC, wherein he would have weekly meetings, I believe, or was it monthly meetings? And again, as what Senator Mig Zubiri said, the consultative style of his leadership. He believed that while he was elected as the leader of the country, he also believed in consulting with the people, what they thought would be for their benefit, and how that would be put into action. He also liked working hand in hand with ordinary people, so not just politicians or those in leadership or decision-making positions, but really to go down to the level of the masses. And in fact, he did this, I believe, almost every week, where he would have provincial visits, which were really busy times for him, because he would meet with several groups from morning until the evening time, and then go back to Malacanang and do the work. We are also really very proud of my father that he was able to implement his vision of unity, solidarity, and teamwork. And although he did have oppositions in the government, which I think is, of course, just natural, he reached out to them to be able to work together for the betterment of the country. And I think to a great extent, he did achieve this. And he was very grateful to, of course, the opposition, those in the legislature, especially because he was able to enforce and pass certain programs which were really dear to him. And of course, among them was envisioning the Philippines to be a tiger economy, as already mentioned by Senator Miggs. And really, this was supposed to be his vision for Philippines 2000, which was well beyond the end of his term in 1998. Might I also acknowledge Senator Robin Padilla? He was actually part of our campaign in 1991. So he was actually very active in trying to push for Fidel Ramos to be the next president in 1992. So maraming salamat din. And of course, Senator Mig Zubiri was also instrumental in that. And as he also mentioned, medyo may past na kami, but not what you think. We were working together in sports in Arnis at that time. And of course, I would also like to acknowledge the work of Senator Pia Cayetano. She has been a strong advocate for women's sports. And we hope this will also be one of the priorities in the legislature. Alam mo naman kasi kami, 5 girls kami. So, medyo walang choice yung tatay ko, because then we have to say, you have to fight for women's rights. And I think he did realize this, maybe in, just in our dinner table, because we would complain, bakit it's always the men, who have the privilege and all this. So I think he did realize that the women really need to be supported. Wala siyang choice kasi in the dinner table, siya lang yung lalaki. So we have to push for that. He also had the vision of saying, kaya natin to, with his thumbs up or 2 thumbs up. And he would always have that as a battle cry, because he really believed that the Filipinos are a strong people, we are a strong nation, and that we can really do it if we push for it and if we really believe in ourselves. And hopefully even beyond his term and beyond his life, with the support, of course, of the legislature and the government, we can continue this vision of his that the Filipinos can do it and be self-supporting and self-sustaining. So again, on behalf of my mother, former First Lady Amelita M. Ramos, and the whole Ramos family, we wholeheartedly and sincerely thank all of you for coming here to pay tribute. We are very honored with your presence. And again, unfortunately, because my father succumbed to COVID-19, we hope all of you will do take care, and hopefully you will not be in the same situation. So again, our vision and our hope is that you carry out his legacy for a better Philippines. Thank you.
That officially ends our presentation. Thank you.